What if tracking just 5 numbers could completely change your business growth forever? Well, over the past few years, I've helped countless 7- and 8-figure business owners systemize their business and discovered there are only 5 metrics which are essential for every single business to track if they want to scale without their business relying on them. So in this video, I'm going to show you what those 5 crucial metrics are, the system for tracking them, and then how to use them to scale faster. So let's start with the first metric, and this is something most business owners don't track, which is exactly why they're not growing how they want to grow. Because how this metric works is if you imagine a pipe that runs through your business, and at the very start of the pipe, there's a single tap which controls the water flowing through the pipe. Well, when the tap is flowing, water is flying out the other side. But the second that tap is turned off, the water stops flowing. Now, most entrepreneurs stand at the end of the pipe with a bucket, waiting to catch the water. And when they realize none is coming out, they might think the pipe is blocked. But you can go and look for a blockage all day. You're not going to find anything because the problem is the tap. And this is exactly what it's like when you don't track your lead flow. Because if you don't have any leads, you quite simply have nobody to sell to, which means you have nobody to fulfill, no cash coming in and no profit to be made, so your business can't grow. Every single day, you need to know exactly how many leads come into the business and where they come from. This way, you know if you get 100 leads a day and bring in a top line of $10,000 a day and you want to bring in $20,000 a day, then you know you can just double your leads so that you can get 200 leads a day. And if you know that all of your leads come from ads, then you know to do more ads or just double your ad spend. It also means if all of a sudden you start making only $5,000 a day, well, then you can check your lead flow. If your lead flow is halved, then that's the culprit and that you need to fix that to grow. But now imagine that same pipe. However, this time the pipe is actually flowing smoothly and yet more water is not coming out the other side. Well, a big mistake I've seen countless business owners make here is that they think the problem is marketing. So they turn up the tap to get more water or lead flow into the system, but yet nothing comes out the other side. Because sometimes what happens is there's a blockage in the pipe. That happens. So no matter how many leads come in, they're not moving through the business. They're not becoming a customer or getting the product or service. They're not paying you. This is why you also need to track your sales performance. Now, depending on how you sell, you might need to track different sales metrics here, but you basically need to know your conversion data for each step of your sales system. So whether that's your close rate, show or up rate, average order value, sales cycle length, conversion rate, whatever those metrics are, depending on how you sell. Because if your lead flow is strong or growing, but your revenue isn't also growing, then something inside your sales system is broken. Those leads are not being turned into customers at an effective or efficient rate. And when you track the data of your sales performance, you can spot the blockage in your sales system, come up with a solution, and then fix it. But a lot of the time with 7- or 8-figure businesses, you're not actually held back by marketing or sales. You're held back by something which most business owners never think to track. And once you start tracking it, it can completely change your business forever. So I once had a client who signed 10 new customers in a single week. It was one of their biggest weeks of the year. Now, this person sold like $25,000 services. So, it was a big week for them. But by Friday, they were bloody panicking because their delivery essentially started to fall apart. The team were drowning. There was too much work and every problem started rooting back to the business owner. So they text me on WhatsApp, which all my clients get my personal WhatsApp number for one-to-one support at any time. And he came to me completely overwhelmed. And they basically said, I thought the growth was, it was supposed to feel good. So why does it feel like everything's falling apart and the business is going to go under tomorrow? And so we dived into the problem, like what's actually wrong here, what's causing these problems, these symptoms, which when we figured it out, we came up with a solution, then everything was good, clients were delivered on time, the team was back on track, etc., etc. But this is what can happen if you do not track your fulfillment capacity, because most growing businesses are not held back by marketing or sales. They're held back by their operations, their ability to fulfill more clients. Like if your team cannot deliver quickly, consistently, or at scale, growth instantly becomes a liability, because if you're used to signing, say, 3 clients a week, all of a sudden some marketing campaign takes off, your sales are great, and you sign 10 clients in a week, could you handle that and still deliver an amazing service? Well, likely not. It's actually why I limit working with me to about 10 to 20 people depending on the month, because otherwise I will be spread too thin and I'll not be able to give everyone the quality of service that I want to give them to help them systemize their business. Your business is no different. If you don't know your operational capacity, every extra client is essentially a gamble with your reputation. Now, how you do this and how you track this will entirely depend on what you sell and how labor intensive it is. But the idea is that you cannot scale what you cannot deliver. But that's how simple growing a business is in theory. You do more marketing to get more leads. You sell your offer to those leads. You fulfill those leads, and then you upgrade your operational capacity if you need to. Then do even more marketing to get even more leads, to get even more sales, to get even more customers to deliver your product or service to. But with that, if you really want to scale your business fast and sustainably over years, you need to track this fourth metric. So think of your business like planting rows and rows of seeds. You water them, you fertilize them, you keep the soil healthy, and you make sure that they get sunlight and all the rest of the things that plants need to grow. But you never actually stop to check whether anything is growing. So from a distance, it feels productive. Like you're doing the work, but you have no idea which seeds like took root, which ones died, and which ones are growing like rapidly, and actually how you want them to grow. Well, really, that means you have no idea if what you're doing is actually working because you're not measuring the results. So you can keep planting seeds for years. Maybe none of them grow, which, that's not good. We don't want that. And it's exactly what happens if you don't track your client results or product outcomes. So whether that's retention, delivery speed, customer success rate, customer experience, quality control, or straight up client results, right? You need a way to track the results of what you sell. Okay, now this will be easier for some businesses than others, but this is the only way to know if what you're selling is good, because if it's not good, you will get caught in the long run. Because the best way to grow your business over years, over the long run, is to obsess over making your product as good as it can be. Because if it does what you say it does amazingly, people will talk, they'll refer, and do the results will do your marketing and selling for you, or at least make it so much easier and improve all your conversion rates. This is why I upgrade MOS 2 to 3 times a year. Like there's going to be a whole new program with new AI tools and templates and materials and all the rest coming out with the next cohort launch in January, which if you want to systemize your business to run without you in just 12 weeks, click the first link in the description below to join the waitlist for our next launch, because there will be limited spaces as always, and they will sell out fast. So essentially though, you need a way to measure the success of what you sell, and so that you know what to improve and how to improve it to maximize your product. But even with that, this fifth metric can make your business if you track it, or break it if you don't. And that is cash. You need to know exactly what cash is coming in, exactly what cash is going out, your upcoming expenses, your projected runway, and all the rest. Because once you know this, you can then optimize cash flow, because quite simply, you can have amazing revenue, but if your cash flow cycle is shit, your business will eventually get fucked, because every month you get less and less cash in the bank simply because of how your cash flow is set up. But once you make cash predictable and optimized in a way that actually your bank account grows every week, the business becomes stable and you can make decisions strategically rather than reactively. Plus, cash is the ultimate truth for the business, right? Like $10 million in turnover is useless for 99% of businesses if you have $0 cash in the bank. Now, see, when it comes to you tracking these 5 metrics, you need to realize that a coaching business needs to track different metrics than a plumbing business, which needs to track different metrics from an e-com brand or a product manufacturer. So what specific metrics that you need to track for these 5 areas depends entirely on your business. Like you cannot copy someone else's metrics and expect your business to behave properly, because your metrics come from your systems and your systems are based on your business. Now, obviously, I help my clients with this inside MOS, but make sure you build your systems and track your metrics based on your systems. And if you want to know how to track these metrics, click the video on screen now. I'll show you the system to do that.